Bom dia, Sr. Christian.
Bom dia.
What's
How
going
you
on,
doing?
buddy?
This is it, buddy.
Another edition of Tuga,
Yeah.
the Everything Portuguese Soccer podcast. How's your weekend going so far?
It's been okay. It's been a roller coaster. Yesterday, took a shot in the nuts for what happened with Sporting yesterday. Went to the Portuguese bakery, one of the worst decisions I ever made. Got it from every angle yesterday. How you doing, buddy? You look happy. Good weekend for
Yeah,
you.
I'm on fucking cloud nine.
I know.
I have nothing to be disappointed about.
At
Upset
all.
about. I mean, we'll see what happens today, but
What's that meme with like Ice Cube driving? He's in the convertible. He's like, today was a good day. I feel like that's you right now.
it was a great week. Man.
It was a great week.
100%. Can't say the same for you guys, but yeah, a
No,
little bit of a roller coaster for sure. All of you Portugues right now, I feel for you, man.
Yeah, I don't
Highs
know.
and lows, man. Highs and lows. It's life, I guess.
It's life. It's his life. This week was the most sporting week ever. We go and win in the Champions League, and then we go and lose to Benfica, to Boavista this week. This is what it's like being a Sporting fan, man. Keeps you on your toes.
All right, guys. A jam-packed show for you guys today. A lot to cover. We'll obviously go through as capas do dia, a bola recorde no jogo. We'll jump into two topics. Two topics. Lots to go through. Reviewing the week that was in the Champions League and Europa League for the Portuguese clubs. Obviously, a big week. We'll get into the scores and all the stories for all the games. We'll jump into UEFA Nations League convocatoria that was announced on Thursday by our querido Fernando Santos, and we'll look ahead to the two games in the UEFA Nations League, Portugal versus the Czech Republic and Portugal versus Spain. And we'll also give you mine and Christian's predicted starting 11s, or at least our preferred starting 11s for the Czech Republic game. We will jump into our Tuga Stars. A lot of Tugas lighting it up around the world. So we'll jump into that, and then we will cap it off with the Liga fixtures review for this week. Look at the scores that have been and some of the games that are just finishing up, and then we'll kind of look ahead to the following match day in Liga Portugal. Lots to cover, man. So let's jump right into it. Capas do dia. Start with A Bola. Let's have a look at what was on the front page of A Bola this morning. Boavistão, obviously talking about Boavista getting the big 2-1 win over your Sporting yesterday, Nabessa. And then Mau Tempo na Praia, talking about Port's rough time out in Estoril. And then talking about Roger Schmidt saying yesterday, jogar contra uma equipa sem pontos é perigoso. So playing against the team with no points is always dangerous. Obviously referring to their game today against Marítimo. Marítimo, who have had a rough start to the Liga and yet to register a point, sitting in last place. So it will be interesting to see. So that's the stories on A Bola. Jumping over to Record. Tropeçou, caiu, tropeçou, Sporting tripping, Sporting falling. Tough stuff, man. Really hard. I mean, it hurts, those words coming out of my mouth. It really does hurt for me to.
You were so excited Sporting lost. You wore green and white today, man.
doing so poorly.
Geez.
And then Águia Tenta Fuga, obviously talking about Benfica with a chance to really gain some serious space between them and the other big two. And then we'll jump over to O Jogo. Ponto na ferida, talking about obviously 1 point for not a really good time for Porto out in Estoril. Talking about as well Pantera Ruga mais alto, talking about Boavista again in the game against Sporting. And Roger Schmidt, Record, pensamos jogo a jogo. So obviously a big chance for Roger Schmidt to extend his win or his winning streak with Benfica to 13 games.
Yeah.
But he's not thinking about that. He's just thinking, game to game. Doesn't want to get too excited, man. Doesn't want to get It's good. I like Roger. I like my boy Rogerio. So those are your Coppers de Liga, guys. Nothing too out of the ordinary, really. Just concentrating mainly on the two big games yesterday or the two big losses in terms of Port and Sporting. Well, Port tied, but
Took a loss for them.
Still like a loss for them, anyway. All right, guys. Tuga topics. We'll jump right into it. Champions League and Europa League roundup. So we'll start with the high for the Sportingistas. Came on Tuesday with a 2-0 win against Tottenham. It was another historic night for Sporting in the Champions League. Paulinho and Arthur grabbing the late extra time goals in a dominating performance from the Leões that marked the first time in Champions League history that Sporting has beaten English opposition at home.
Yeah.
Sporting made history already last week with the big game win in Germany and now making history again.
Yeah.
But the big star of the game was an Englishman.
Yeah.
Wasn't it, Christian?
Yeah.
But not from the Spurs.
Actually, if you want to go there, he actually was formed at Spurs, ironically.
Can we just take a second, Cidadão, pull up the clip from Marcus Edwards against Tottenham? Can we all just take a second to watch this fucking run? This would have been potentially the goal of the year.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So, Adam, we asked you to show Edwards, not Messi. Where's this Maradona? Oh no, this is Edwards. Sorry. No, what a run! This run right here took England by storm.
Marcus
what
Edwards
a performance!
Put on an absolute clinic.
Clinicão
for Sporting.
Clinicão. I don't even know if that's a word, but it was a clinicão. I'm going to go with clinicão.
It was garnering the attention, a lot of attention. English media, pundits all over the place talking about this kid. Who is this kid? Where did he come from? How is he playing for Sporting?
So he was actually he came from Tottenham. He went through the youth system, didn't quite make it there. Ended up, falling through the ropes. He ended up with Guimarães. Started doing well there. Caught the eye of Sporting with some great performances, and then now he's at Sporting. And wow, has he been a great player? Last week against Frankfurt, he scored a goal on assist. He was the main reason why we won. And then this game, wow, what a game! Yeah, the way he opens up Spurs' legs there, it was amazing. It was a great performance. He's on fire. When I went to go look at post-match analysis from this game, they talked about Sporting's win, but the 99% of the topic was Marcus Edwards, of how well he performed, how great of a player he is. Yeah. This kid is special, man. Very special kid.
He is very, very good. Paulinho.
Hold on. Let's read what this gentleman said.
What is this?
This game was the first time.
This game was the first time that I was so into the game of Sporting, even cheering with the 2 goals as a Benfiquista. Bravo Sporting, very proud. Wow. Benfiquista.
We'll take you anytime, buddy. Thanks. Pure class.
Honestly, pure class. You know what, though, man? It was great to see. Always good to see Portuguese team.
You know what? You know what's really good to see too? A Benfiquista finally watching real soccer, and he found the Lord Jesus Christ. Thank you. Welcome aboard.
But can we just talk for a second about who bagged the game winner for you guys?
Oh, they talked
your
about
savior.
Oh my God!
Coming off the bench.
Paulinho
I predicted it in the group chat. If you saw as soon as he was coming off the bench, I said Paulinho on for the winner.
Oh, buddy! If we didn't get copyright infringements, I'd play his iconic song. So Paulinho mostra bench, ele já te cai. What a song! What a player! Paulinho Vint with the game winner. We all know the controversy behind him, but yeah, what a winner! What a game! We played that game to a clinic. We defended so well, hit him on the counterattack, played just beautifully. And then shout out to Artur Gomes. I think he's got goal of the week.
Yes.
He's really good friends with Neymar and his family, and that was very Neymar-esque. Came on the bench. He was on the field for 15 seconds. 1-5, not 5-0, 1-5 before running that masterclass. Burning guys with step overs, put it through his legs, and then put it through Lloris's legs. And it was an amazing game. We were riding high. Big result. We're in first in our group, and deservingly so. What a game.
Not only that, man, you guys dominated the game.
Yeah, we did dominate the game.
It's not like you guys sat back.
And I wanted to say this too. Spurs is no joke. They were undefeated prior to this game.
Mm-hmm.
Very good team. People are saying in Europe they're probably the top 5 teams in Europe with the best attacking. I want to call it 4 players, not trio.
Mm-hmm.
They do have attacking power. They ended up winning this weekend 6-2. It was a big win, man. It was a big win against a big team, and it was definitely a statement.
Man, I'm going to go on a limb and say this is probably one of the best games I've seen Sporting play.
Yes.
Ever.
Yeah.
Potentially ever, honestly.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to go back in my head and actually think of a team and performance where, I think who they were playing obviously has a lot to do with it, but I'm finding a hard time remembering Sporting playing that well against that good of opposition.
This is not a shot at you. This is not, I promise. I'm just being wholeheartedly. The only time I've seen a performance like that was in the Luge when we won 3-1 with Mateusz Nunes, when we had no Palhinha, no Coates. That was the only one comparable to this. I even think this one's higher than that one. Mm-hmm. But that's the only other time where tactically they got it right and everybody played well and it was a great game. I definitely agree with you.
All right, jumping over to Porto. Porto received Club Brugge. An embarrassing night. Buddy. Yeah, an embarrassing night in Port. I saw the Belgian champions take their winning streak to 7 games this season. Club Brugge is no joke, buddy.
They are no joke.
They really are no joke.
I was watching some Champions League predictions, and there was a gentleman there that was talking about Club Brugge, and they were saying a lot of people are sleeping on them, but they have a fantastic team. And you've seen it the last game.
They really did. It was a convincing 4-0 romping with Dragão. To start things off, João Mario fairly early on brought down Jutgla in the box at the 15th minute to give away a PK. Jutgla ended up converting it, which then paved the way to additional goals from Sawa, Olsen, and then finally Nusa in the 89th minute. Some questions arose as to why Sérgio Conceição opted to start Otávio. We reported here last week that Otávio was going to be out for about a month with an upper body injury that he picked up against the Gil Vicente, I think, last week. So I for one was really surprised to see him in the starting lineup. I think a lot of Porto fans, that's been one of the big criticisms of Conceição, is why Otávio started if he wasn't in top form.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree. He's such a vital part of that team, though. He's that nitty-gritty Porto style player that, really drives that team. I could see why he would, if he was healthy enough to play, they'd play him. But was it a good idea? I mean, in hindsight, most likely not, because that was one of the worst performances I've seen Porto. Say what we want about Porto. Mm-hmm. One thing that we can say about Porto is they're always competitive. It's not easy to do that to Porto 4-0. I don't care what team you are, it's not easy to do. And yeah, it was very surprising to see that
space. And I think one of the players from Club Brugge in a post game interview said they just gave us so much space, and we took advantage. Like it was unbelievable. The holes and gaps that Porto were leaving out there. It was bad.
I agree.
It was really bad.
Yeah, the wheels fell off for sure.
So Porto were obviously lackluster at best. Sorry, sir, though. Unfortunately, the night was marred even further by more off-the-field bullshit from the Dragões. As Sérgio Conceição's family, carrying his wife and 2 sons, their car was pummeled with some obviously pretty big rocks, big enough obviously to crack the windshield. Fans in kind of protest over, the result. What do you think about this?
That's never okay. Actually, when he came out in press conference, I thought it was really classy. Gave him a shout out and, said he wishes the best for him. And that's, it's you don't want that to happen to anybody, especially with his family there. If it was just him, obviously it's still wrong. But the fact that his family and kids are there, it's just disgusting. This is something we don't want to see in soccer. Portistas, this is not for all Portistas, because all the Portistas I know are, not all, but a lot of them are more classy. This is not a testament of like who Porto is. This is just some fucking gangsters, idiots doing this stupid shit. You don't want to see this in soccer. And, especially a guy like Sérgio Conceição, say what you want about him. We do call him out a lot of stuff, but he has given a lot to Porto. He's an iconic figure of Porto, and to do that to him after one, it sure was a bad loss, but he does not deserve that, man. Nobody deserves that. To be fair.
Yeah, I think it's important to note this is not to separate the idiots from the fans.
Yeah.
The every single club, you can say what you want. Every single club has claques.
Yeah.
Every claque has their fair share of bandidos and idiots that are just going to go out there and do stupid shit. So I think it's important to separate that, but this has got to stop, man.
It has got to stop, man.
I don't know how you put more controls around this, but more protections around, like how the hell did fans even get access to their vehicle? Like,
yeah, I know.
I'm not exactly sure where or how it happened, but I'm sure they probably know what car they drive, and maybe we're just waiting
for sure
the car to come out of the stadium.
But the thing is, like, the heart of this, I know there's a lot of raiva and like a lot of people get pissed, but how is that supposed to help the team? Like, where in your brain it's like, hey, I want Porto to do better. I want them to win this game, so let's trash the coach's car. Like, how is that supposed to better and empower the team?
Element, man. I think from a fan's perspective, they're thinking, if we make it so that these guys feel scared, to get the bad results, it's it's gonna, somehow make the team play better. The coach has that much more pressure because now there's a fear element. Of their safety.
Yeah, I'm not saying you agree with that. I know you don't agree with it, but if that's the aspect, there's other ways to do that. Just with things that happen organically. Just call out the coaches in press conferences or social media.
Heads of clocks. I have one particular image in my head. It was I think it was the head of the Juvelet a few years ago that actually went in and wanted to have a sit down or a meeting with the coach.
Yeah,
I don't know if it was it George Jesus?
I'm not sure. Yeah, I'm not sure.
You remember what I'm talking about?
Yeah, that happens. That happens a lot with other teams.
So maybe that'd be happening right now if Sporting wasn't winning again in the Champions League.
I think any team that you go through all these bad results, that would happen. But
all right, guys, and now of course jumping to the highlight of the week, outside of course Sporting, was Benfica's Juventus. Benfica traveling over to Italia, to Turin, where they were in action against the old lady Juve. Benfica actually hadn't registered a victory against Juventus in European competition since 1968, where Eusebio, the great guy, right here, my boy, scored the only goal in a 1-0 win. So this is going to be a big game. It's going to be a tough game. Everybody kind of expected that. But Juve came out really strong, and they actually dominated the first 15 minutes of play, and they registered an early marker. Polak Milik headed Juve into a 1-0 lead in the 4th minute, so very early on. Benfica responded well, and they were actually really close to going level on a couple of occasions. Rafa hit the post. He played such an amazing game. And then Fabio Miretti fouled Ramos in the box just before halftime. João Mario converted the PK, and a bit of a scrum ensued. I don't know if you saw that. João Mario going to the fans saying, I can't hear you. And Bonucci actually tried to go after him. And the 18-year-old, Antonio Silva, I don't know if you saw this. Antonio Silva, 18 years old, stepped up to Bonucci, man. Pushed him and gave him the finger wag. Say, hey, man,
tough guys.
Guys got a part of colhões on him, man. Hey, I like to see that. I like it, but he again played really, really well. We'll talk a little bit about him later. But Benfica continued their domination in the game. They came back. They bounced back well. Second half, they never let off the gas. Neres fired Benfica into the lead at the 55th minute mark, and then Juve came close a couple times to leveling. But Benfica were able to hold on and mark a historic win in Turin. Rafa, João Mario, Enzo, Neres, and even Florentino Luis had standout performances for Benfica. But for me, Antonio Silva was yet again the name on, I think, everyone's lips. 18 years old, this guy playing center back, showing tremendous maturity. Yeah. Unbelievable, man. He's pairing really well with Otamendi at the back.
He's a good player. Hey, what I'm about to say, don't take it the wrong way or nothing. It was an historic win against a big name, a former Ronaldo team, but Juve is in shambles right now. Today they lost to AC Monza. What is that? Some cheese? What is that? I know, but they're not looking Monza or whatever. But they're not looking good.
Newly promoted.
Huh?
Newly promoted.
Exactly. The cheese team beating them today. What's going on with Juve, man? But I mean, that being said, still a big win. It was a tight game, very tight game, big result. And yeah, Benfica is still undefeated. I think it's 13 games now.
So, do you know Danny Mota?
Yes.
Danny Mota plays for Monza.
For
Danny
the cheese?
Mota is a young Portuguese. He used to play for.
He's a good player. He was
Benfica
one of the
actually
top
looking at
players
him,
for.
That's where I knew. I just needed to check. I was pretty sure that's who he played for. But yeah,
Yeah.
the newly promoted. That's Juve lost 1-0.
But big game. You know what? When this group first came out, I'd actually, Mitch said at this time too that I think Benfica is the favorite to go over Juve in this group, and I still think that. And it was a big result. Big result.
Bring
Portuguese
on
teams.
PSG, buddy.
That's going to be the real test. That's
Bring
going to be
it.
the real test.
How would you rate Juve season this year? Like from 1 to 10 in terms of
Juve?
desires? Yeah, Juve season right now.
I'd say it's like a 5.
So they're sitting in 8th place with
8
points. So
exactly.
Just that.
Okay.
All right, guys. Moving on. Just to quickly talk about the upcoming fixtures. Sporting will be traveling to France to play Marseille in the next game on the Tuesday, October the 4th. Porto will be at home to Bayern Leverkusen, and then Benfica on the Wednesday will be home. They will also be traveling to France to play PSG on the 5th.
Big games.
So a couple of big games.
Are you guys going doubleheader with PSG? Is it back? I think it's back to back.
I think we would,
Yeah, because we're doing that with Marseille. That's going to be huge. Yeah. Those 2 games, because Marseille is the weakest of the group. But if you really, so far. But if you look at the result, they have a really close game with Tottenham, really close game with Frankfurt, and playing a team that performed really good in those first 2 games, but didn't get a result. It's going to be tough to play them twice because they want to make a statement. Going back to last season, Sporting started with 0 points after 2 games, and they ended up qualifying. So, I mean, anything can happen in this group. It's still open. Yeah, it's 2 good results, but it's an open group. And these next 2 games for Benfica against PSG, it's going to say a lot. There's going to be huge. If you guys can even draw one of those games, I'm saying you guys can win. But I'm just saying, even just a draw in those 2 games, you pretty much, in my opinion, almost in. Because they already beat Juve 1 game. So it's going to be huge for you guys.
The Sporting can take Marseille?
I think we'll win for sure one of those games. If we can get a result, I think we'll be in good shape. If we get 9 points after 3 games, we're in the driver's seat, 100% the driver's seat.
Kawach is out.
Yeah, we'll see. Buddy, it's not just Kawach. It's not just Kawach. Netu's out. St. Just is out. Kawach is out. I mean, no excuses here. But when you have Ishkayu coming in, that's the other team's super sub. It's the Portuguese Maguire. It's the Portuguese Maguire, man. Harry Ishkayu, we'll call him.
We'll talk more about that when we get into the recap.
Yes.
But Port Leverkusen, what are you thinking? Does Port have a chance?
The Porto always has a chance. Their backs are against the wall, much like what happened with Sporting. It's Porto. It's Porto. They can get a result, but they're definitely not in good shape, being 0 points after 2 games. It's possible, but for them, this is the biggest game so far in the Champions League.
I think it's still possible.
I don't
think they have to rebound, but I mean, I don't think that you're sounding the alarm bells just yet. No. But Leverkusen did beat Athletic. So
my opinion, though, and this is no hate, I don't think they're going to be going through the next round. Just given how good Club Brugge is playing.
Club Brugge first place after two games in.
I know. This is why you got to play these groups out, because you don't know how things are going. Like I sometimes on paper, and I fall victim to it all the time. I'm like, okay, this is easy group, or this is easy wins, but it's the Champions League, man. And there's so many good teams. You can never guess what's going to happen.
And then Benfica PSG.
Yeah.
Who's going to win?
Is the first game at home or away?
First game is in France.
In France?
Pretty sure.
Again, no hate. It is PSG. I think PSG will marginally win. But I do think in the second game, Benfica can get a result. I think it's either they can. I think they can. I think it's going to be
the first game's in Lisbon. Sorry,
in Lisbon. I think it's going to be draw in Lisbon and then lose in Paris. That's my opinion.
Benfica's going to win at home.
PSG is going to win.
No, Benfica. Fuck this.
Sorry, I had to double check. I had to check my mic.
All right, guys, jumping over to Europa League, Braga taking on Union Berlin. They got the 1-0 victory. Os Guerreiros do Minho, and Artur Jorge saw Braga's unbeaten streak extended to 12 games as Vitinha solidified a hard-fought 1-0 victory at home with a 77th minute poacher's goal. Vitinha, man, he's no joke. Fernando Santos even talked to him about one of the potential names he was looking at to bring in.
I don't even want to talk about Fernando Santos. We'll just leave that for later. But yeah, no, a good player. Braga, great team this year. Yes. They're 2 points behind Benfica while already playing us. So, I mean, the next game against Porto that they're going to be playing next is going to be huge for them. They're having an amazing season, and they have a fantastic team. Like before in years past, Braga has always been competitive, but you could always see that they're missing something. This year, I feel like they got it, man. Like they got it to truly compete for the title.
No, man, they're looking really good. They sit atop of their group, tied. They are atop, but they are tied 6 points with the Belgian team Union Saint-Gilloise. Something like that. Anyway, but they will play them next in the game on Thursday, October the 6th. So it'll be a game to figure out who will have sole possession of first spot in Group D.
Keep it on, Braga.
Good to see, man. That's at least out of 4 possible results, we got 3 wins and a loss. So good for our rankings. We've talked about that, how important it is for Portugal to maintain good results in Europe to keep us atop in the rankings. So
Porto's got to step it up, man. Let's go.
What the hell's going on here?
All
right, guys, switching gears to the SELEÇÃO. We talked about it lots last week. It was time for Fernando Santos convocatória on Thursday. I will be the first to say that I woke up fairly disappointed once again with Fernando Santos call-ups. There were some pretty, I think, astounding ausências from this list. So,
hey, Snurra, do you have some sage over there I can breathe in right now? I'm shaking right now, so I need to calm down. You know what? Shout out to Pedro Gonçalves of Spain. He didn't get called up for the Spanish national team. And Inacio, the Italian center back, also didn't get called up. Bullshit. Just a little bit of a joke. Gonçalo Inacio never got called up. Pedro Gonçalves never got called up. What's going on with the Sporting hate here, man?
Well, let's go through the
holy first, fuck.
And then we can talk about the ausências. So, keepers, that one. Keepers, we already knew this one. Diogo Costa, José Sá, and Rui Patrício. Defesas, Diogo Dalot, João Cancelo, Danilo Pereira, Pep Dias. Tiago Diallo was the big surprise here, the Lille center back who is versatile enough to play at left back, is from what I understand. Apparently, he's played right back. I don't know when. I've gone back to every single game that Lille the last 15 games Lille has played. This guy has never featured at right back, so I don't know where.
And shout out to him. If it wasn't for him, PSG would have beat Lille 9-1 instead of 7-1. So that's why he got called up.
Anyway, we'll go more into that. Nuno Mendes and Rafael Guerreiro, but as we learned this morning, Rafael Guerreiro picked up a knock and will be out, and he was recently replaced by the Napoli left back Mario Rui. That was breaking news this morning. The midfielders, João Palhinha, Ruben Neves, Bernardo Silva, Bruno Fernandes, João Mário.
And who's next?
João Mário.
No, but who's next after him?
Mateus Nunes.
Oh, no.
Vitinha and your boy, William Carvalho.
Oh, the Ballon d'Or nominee, the man, William Carvalho, buddy. Watch out, world.
And then your forwards, Ronaldo, Jota, Pedro Neto, João Félix, Rafa Silva, Rafael Leão, and Ricardo Horta. That rounds up your forwards. So, major ausências, Renato Sanches, Otávio, both of those more than likely due to injury. And then you've got, as you mentioned, Gonçalo Inácio, Pedro Gonçalves, David Carmo, Gonçalo Guedes, Daniel Pudense. Those are some of the big names left off the list. So, Christian, I'll let you Get your rant over.
Okay. All jokes aside, I had a little bit of fun right now, but all jokes aside, I wanted to say this, and this is such a slap in the face. And you know what? Mitch does like Benfica, I like Sporting, but I'll give him this when he's a realist. He'll call it out as it is, and we had a discussion off air about this. Gonçalo Inácio, he never even got picked, not only for the national team, he didn't even make the U21 team. The U21 team. This guy's already been championship. He already won the league. He's got 4 trophies under his belt. Started the last 3 years every single game. Top center back. And they go and call. And then this is just to make a statement. I'm going to go back to U21. We didn't show the U21, but I'm going to go back to the U21 team. Eduardo Quaresma, and he's a Sporting prospect, didn't make the team. Got loaned out to Tondela, a team that finished bottom of the table. Didn't make Tondela's lineup. He was a sub on Tondela. Got loaned out again, and they called him over at Gonçalo Inácio. I do not know what's going on. I do not know the beef they have with this, but I mean, for the first time in a long time, no Sporting players got called up. So I don't know if this is the Varandas hate, what's going on with Pinto Costa, because I know Fernando Santos, I mean, this is the conspiracy mind. I'm not saying this is factual, but I don't know if Pinto Costa and him are boys and it's like a shot at Sporting. But for me, that was the biggest absence that really bothered me was Gonçalo Inácio. Pedro Gonçalves should be there in my opinion, but it wasn't as much of a slap in the face because we do have so much talent there. I mean, you can justify those other calls, but for me, I don't know what you think, Mitch. That was a huge slap in the face to him.
Adam, did you pull up Santos on Convocados there? So let me just read this for a sec. So this was from the conferência de imprensa that Fernando Santos did when he announced the Convocados. He said, podiam estar aqui muitos nomes. António Silva, Florentino, Pote, Trincão. So he's got 2 Sporting players there.
But you know what stands out to me? Sorry to interrupt you. You see how he has Antonio Silva there? And I know he's going to be a great player. I know he's a great player.
Exactly,
no hate against him.
That's exactly where I was going, man.
He's played 4 games for Benfica.
He doesn't mention Inácio.
Yeah.
To me, that's the biggest ausência is Inácio. And when he's talking about os nomes que podiam lá estar, he doesn't bring up Gonçalo Inácio. I'm mind blasted as to why this kid is not being called up. I don't know the reason. You know, Sporting obviously is not playing very well in the league. They're playing well in Champions League. There's a ton of quality players there on that side. I mean, I guess you know, to play devil's advocate, you could say, okay, well, if you want a Pot, you know, who do you take out? I definitely take Pot over William Carvalho every day of the week. I mean, I don't know why we need Danilo, Palhinha, Neves, and William Carvalho. I don't know why you need. I know Neves is not as much of a trinco as those 3, but he'll faz o papel if it's required. But I mean, I don't know why you need 4 players with a defensive minded midfield mentality. I don't understand why you need that many guys in that lineup.
And man, those who know Portuguese soccer, they know Danilo and William are pretty much identical, other than Danilo could play center back.
100%.
But they're literally like the spitting image of each other.
They're the same player. It's William is about 3 notches slower than Danilo, if that's even fucking possible. And it's just like, man, it's painful to watch this guy play. I just don't understand how they leave a guy like Pot, who is so versatile. He can play in the center of the park. He can play on the wing. He can play as a false 9. I mean, he's such a versatile player. He's such a skilled player. He puts the ball in the back of the net for Sporting on a regular basis.
And assists. And
I mean, he's such a complete player. I don't understand how he leaves a guy like Pot off and brings a guy like William Carvalho. I really just don't understand.
This guy, I'm only emphasizing this just because of the slap in the face that just happened, but this guy was top goal scorer on a team that won the league 2 years back. Last year, on and off season, still put up crazy numbers. This year, on fire. Hasn't played 1 game for the national team. 1 game for the national team. It's a slap in the face. Gonçalo Inácio has been called up 1 time. He ended up being hurt. Never played for the national team. I'm not saying they have to start, man. I'm not saying he should be solidified, but not to get called up is a slap in the face.
I think, honestly, and there could be guys out there saying, no, that's not the case. For me, we all know Fernando Santos used to coach Porto. Okay. I think, personally, when your president, Dr. Varandas there, goes on an all-out attack against Pinto Costa, his 60 years of
Visht.
All the stuff he said, he's come out very publicly and attacked Pinto Costa. I think potentially this could be a very, very strong message that the SELEÇÃO, or at least Fernando Santos, is sending to the Sporting president, saying, you know what, buddy, you want to go out and badmouth the president who's done so many amazing things for Porto all those years, your players aren't going to get picked. I could be completely off, and you alluded to it too, because both of us talked about this. It's the only thing that makes sense to me, because we can sit here and talk about how much Fernando Santos, we don't agree with his decisions a lot of the time, but at the end of the day, o homem tem olhos na cara. Like, you can't sit there and tell me that a guy like William deserves to be there over Pedro Gonçalves. You can't sit there and tell me that fucking Gonçalo or Thiago Diallo deserves to be there over Gonçalo Inácio. Like, you can't tell me that, man.
Yeah, no, but man, you know what? What makes your what you just said such a strong argument and such a possibility of it being happening is what I said earlier. Gonçalo Inácio didn't not only make the national team, he didn't make the U21 team. And people that understand Portuguese soccer know, and I love Eduardo Cortés, but don't get me wrong, I think he has a bright future. But he gets called, a player that Sporting had the option to keep, loaned out to a weaker team. Again, I know I said this earlier, but then didn't make it on that weaker team, got loaned out again, gets called out in front of a guy that has 4 or 5 titles already with Sporting, starts every game. It's pretty obvious in my opinion.
Yeah. All right. So we've talked about the big ausências. Starting 11s, Christian, what are you thinking against the Czechs on Saturday the 24th? What are you thinking?
So I'm gonna. It's right there. Okay. So yeah, I think to have our strongest 11 at the moment, this is the team I'd pick. I'd pick Costa at the back.
Mm-hmm.
Again, I know I talk about this all the time, but it's just the fact that he's good with his feet.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like it gives another element. With that passing game in the back. Diaz, Pep, those guys are an obvious. I think 99% of any Portuguese guy that picks center back duo, it's going to be them. I picked Dalot just because Cancelo was hurt. Obviously, Cancelo would be there if it wasn't for him. Dalot is there. Nuno Mendes is there, especially now that Guerreiro got hurt. I think he's 100% in. Palhinha, I don't know, for those who have been watching him, he's been having a season at Fulham. And even over the weekend, scored a banger goal. I think to give, for this particular formation and these particular players I chose, I think Palhinha is the right guy just because he's a sweeper to give more room to the guys up front with Bernardo Silva and Bruno Fernandes. I have always said this in the past. I love Bernardo down the middle. I think that you get the most of Bernardo Silva in the midfield. And I like Bruno in the midfield. I think that attacking duo, the creativity, the lines they can find in between the interlineas they can find with that kind of quality up front, I think that's why I picked them. Leão, I think he's forced his way into this lineup. I think he has to play the way he's been playing in Italy, and I have my thoughts about him, but the way he's been playing, he's an absolute superstar. MVP of the Italian league last year, and this year it looks like he's going to repeat having a performance. Ronaldo, he's a captain, goes without saying. And Jota is back from injury. I feel like he's an attacking threat up front. I mean, there's many other options. For me, that's the hardest area to pick,
Mhm.
and you could slot a lot of different players there, and I'd be okay with it. But for me, just going off past, I'd pick Jota there.
Not a bad lineup, man. All right, jump over to my lineup. I'm gonna go with Jessa starting in net. I've always been a big fan of Sa over Costa. Not to say that Costa isn't good, but I think entre postos, I think Sa is a little bit
Really
of a
good.
better keeper,
Yeah.
and I think he's I think he's probably one of the safer options. I don't know Diogo Costa confidence wise. Couple shaky results, obviously coming off a tie, the big loss against Club Brugge. Confidence wise, I don't know how he's feeling, but for me, I would go Sa. Nuno Mendes at the back, Dijon Pep and Dalo. Nothing crazy there. In the midfield, I'm gonna go with Neves and Vitinha. Normally, I would say Mateus Nunes and Ruben Neves, but man, Vitinha has just been playing so well for PSG. That I would give the kid a chance to start with Neves in the midfield. I don't think we need to play with a Trink against Czech Republic. That's not how I'd line up. I don't think we need to do that. Neves can kind of hold it down, and Vitinha can be kind of your more, a little bit more of an attacking threat. Then I go with 3 above that: Leon, Bernardo Silva, and Rafa. Rafa, for me, man, he has been playing so well for Benfica this year. He's probably in the best form I'd say he's ever been in his career right now for Benfica. I think he's just hitting absolute peak form. He is so fast. He's so tricky on the ball. And out of just strictly form, I don't think there's anybody there outside of Rafael Leon that's in as top form right now as Rafa. So I would definitely put Rafa in there. And then Cristiano Ronaldo up front. Not that I necessarily think.
Wait. Who?
Cristiano Ronaldo, I would start him.
Are you okay?
Yeah, tô okay.
What's in the café? Is that a cheirinho? What is that?
No. Deixa o cheirinho em casa. Not that I think it's the better result in terms of form. I think Jota actually might be a better choice in terms of actually what we might get out of it. But we talked about this. If Cristiano Ronaldo is going to Qatar and he's going to start in Qatar, then he needs to fucking play.
Yeah.
Fucking should have done. We're fucking laughing over here. He needs to play. He'll take ganhar ritmo. He's got to get his legs back. He needs to get back in form. So, and the only way he's going to do that is by playing. So we got to put him. We got to play him. So 100%. That's my big thing. It's never a bad thing when Ronaldo starts. I personally don't know that he's in the best form. We all know he's not in the best form.
No, I think there's something wrong with my headpiece. I don't know. This Ronaldo thing. I don't know.
So we'll see. The other big news that came out on Thursday, aside from the Convocados, was these wonderful jerseys that Portugal announced. Thoughts on this, Christian?
I mean, SELEÞÁO brought this up, and I have to agree with him. I think the main shirt looks way better with the shorts added. I think it's that that flow between shorts and shirt. I think it gives it more justice. I mean, they're okay. They're good. Maybe not my favorite ones, but I don't think they're bad. I really love the white jersey. I think it's a really nice jersey.
I'm not sure what kind of drugs they're feeding the people designing these fucking jerseys at Nike.
It's the slave childs working in the warehouse.
They got it laid off. I think, honestly, the away one's nice. The home one, I'm not a fan of that diagonal design. I don't like it.
Yeah.
They came out, actually, the Federação came out and said they broke records, smashed records with jersey sales in the first week.
There you go, man. Maybe we don't have the eye for fashion, man. Maybe we're just losing. We're getting older.
I don't know.
That's some runway stuff, man. That's
not a fan. The away jersey, definitely a fan, but the home jersey, not so much.
We don't have it here today, but we've seen some alternate jerseys that were pulled up in our group chat. Those are really nice, man. There's
I think some of the training, aside from the geometric fucking disaster on one of the
that's stuff you draw when you're like a little kid, eh? There's little designs. But
aside from that one, there actually are some nice training tops.
Really nice.
Anyway, we'll see. All right, guys, moving on. to our Tuga Stars. We talked about some of the Tugas lighting it up around the world. We're going to start with one guy who made headlines this summer with a big move from Porto to Arsenal. Fabio Vieira, he was not able to start due to injury this season. He had a rough start, or I guess just a quiet start. Hadn't really featured for Arsenal coming off of injury, but played today, actually this morning against Brentford. This is one of the first games he actually started for Arsenal, and he bagged his first goal. So good to see Fabio Vieira. What's that?
Banger.
Banger.
Yeah,
it was not just
post it in, man. It wasn't just no little tap in, this little rebound tap. It was a statement goal. It was posting in. Don't quote me on that. It was like 30 yards out, 25 yards out. You know what? He's one of the main reasons why Porto is not looking as good this year. Him and Vitinha, those two players gave so much energy to that team. In my opinion, one of the main reasons outside of like guys like Pinaldo, Taremi, other than him, but those guys are all jokes aside, were big players. The reason why Porto were so good last year, and he has a bright future, Fabio Vieira.
Very showing why Arsenal splashed the cash that they did for him. And I
think they got a good deal on him.
If he keeps this up, definitely another guy that we're going to see featuring in the SELEÇO. And I think had he not been riddled with injuries to start the season, he may very well have made this convocatoria. And if he keeps this up, very, very likely he could be in Qatar.
Yeah. Oh, KG in the house.
We got some comments here, guys.
There we go.
What do we got here?
He played only because Odegaard is hurt. That's why he hasn't started yet. Odegaard is far on. Yeah, Odegaard is top player. That's true. You know what? Shout out to Kevin Gerald. I think he's leading the fantasy team, isn't he? You're in the fantasy.
Yeah.
EPL. He's the leader. He's lucky because he got Holland. But anyways, let's not go there. It's true, but Odegaard is a great player, but Fabio Vieira.
Hey man, it's good to see. I agree. Odegaard's obviously got that spot, but very nice to see Fabio Vieira coming in and obviously giving Odegaard a run for potentially that spot. So the other guy we're gonna look at, Palhinha. You talked a little bit about it. João Palhinha scored a fucking screamer.
Yeah, not his first one either.
An absolute screamer. He's also man of the match in Fulham's 3-2 comeback victory against Nottingham Forest. It's just we always talk about Ruben Neves being that guy that can just lay one out from outside the 18, but Palhinha showing that he's no slouch either. He can bang him in.
Oh, he's a good player, man. He's honestly a lot of the main reasons why they've been suffering so many goals.
Yeah.
And a lot of people that don't have, don't notice guys like with Trinkus or CDMs or these how important CDM role is. Yep. I actually heard, not to derail this conversation, I heard I was watching this coach on YouTube. They said one of the most important positions you could have is your Trink, because he's the filter between your defense and your attack. And I think the reason why we're letting in so many goals because he's not playing, because that guy is an amazing ball winner. And now he's proving that he could score. So
100%, man. And he's been a big part of Marco Silva's success at Fulham this year.
And they're having a great season.
Sixth spot in the EPL, which is not an easy feat. So,
especially coming from the second, the championship division,
newly promoted. So big things João Palhinha is doing in the EPL. Another guy that many of you guys may not know of. I used to really like this kid when he played for the U21s. His name's Kevin Rodrigues, and this kid, left back, which is there's quality left backs in Portugal are a little bit something to be desired, but. This kid plays at not a kid anymore. He's 28, but he plays for Adana Demirspor. Demirspor.
Huh?
Anyway, they're actually first place in the Turkish Super League, and he scored a fucking frozen rope of a free kick the other day. We've got the highlight to show you guys.
Look at this banger.
Have a look at this.
See.
Unbelievable. What a free kick. So he played in Spain. He was playing in Spain for a little while, and he ended up going to this Adana Demirspor, but he was a really good left back, man. I don't know why he didn't ever kind of go to anywhere. He's actually a really good player. But I figured we'd bring that up because he's a bit of an unknown player out there. So you guys could see.
Definitely a banger.
Other guy that we're going to talk about is Andre Almeida, not the Benfica Andre Almeida, the
here we go.
22-year-old midfielder. He used to play for Vitória de Guimarães, got transferred to Valencia this year.
Wait, did you see this?
Sorry?
It's for you, man. SLB.
There you go.
There we go.
Nothing against Maritim, who
The
scored
0 points in 6 games team. But good job. Nice goal. Man. Sorry, I'm bitter today.
Buddy.
I'm really bitter.
It's okay. Hey, I can get the Dr. You should get Dr. Varandas to give you some Reni for the Azia, buddy. It's okay.
I don't think he could do that anymore.
The other guy I was talking about, Andre Almeida, is the midfielder that made the move to Valencia from Vitória de Guimarães. He started his first game for Valencia and scored a beauty. If you can, guys, we couldn't bring up the highlights for copyright reasons, but he scored an absolute beauty in a 3-0 win, Valencia over Celta Vigo. Really good player. He actually played really well. There was a lot of talk about him going to Port last year. He didn't end up going to Port. He went to Valencia. So interesting to watch how he progresses, but good to see him scoring and doing well in La Liga. And then the last guy we're going to talk about, Bruno Lourenço.
I'm going to go to the washroom real quick.
Don't worry, Christian.
All of a sudden, I'm having stomach issues. Just bear with me here.
Of course, we'll bring it up here in our Liga review, but he scored a brace against Sporting. One of them was an absolute cracker volley. We'll show the highlights a little bit later, but Bruno Lourenço getting a brace for Boa Vista. So good to see young Portuguese talent playing well in the Liga. All right, guys. So that wraps up our Tuga Stars. Jumping into the Liga, let me just pull up some of the results from today, so I've got everything up to date for you guys. All right, so on Friday, the Liga kicked off with a game. Portimonense, Chaves, Portimonense beating Chaves 1-0. Portimonense continuing their impressive start to the season, sitting now 5th place in the league. That's 3 spots ahead of Sporting.
Relax. We'll come back.
Then that was the Friday game. Yesterday, Santa Clara tied Paços de Ferreira. Santa Clara continue their struggling start to the season. That game was played in. They actually played well. I watched a little bit of the game, but a tough start for Santa Clara this year. A second game was Rio Ave against. What was that? Estou perdido aqui. Hold on. What was the other game here? Rio Ave tied Gil Vicente 2-2. And then, of course, Estoril Porto 1-1. Let's talk a little bit about this.
Before you dive in, PK or no PK? Think it was a real PK? The one that Porto got right at the end of the Estoril.
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah. I think
there was a big debate at the Padaria, the bakery, the drunk Portuguese men. They're going off. What else is there? It's not penalty. There's 5 guys offside. But I think it was a PK.
Yeah,
I
think it's a
Porto fashion.
Handball.
Yo, what's wrong with Porto, man? They're not winning games while getting red cards and penalties and fucking 114 minutes of extra time. There's something seriously wrong if they can't win.
So Tiago Veia put Estoril up 1-0 in the 41st minute, and it took 99 minutes. 9 minutes in the 9th minute of extra time, a handball from Joãozinho in the box, clumsy play by Joãozinho, and
nice goal here though.
Taremi converted the penalty to make it 1.
He has a really high pitched voice. Did you notice? Did you hear? Was that you?
Yeah. So there's a lot of stuff going on here, guys. We're gonna jump into this and really take a deeper dive. Yeah. Is this uma crise no Dragão? I mean, you're coming off of a 4-0 bashing at the hands of Club Brugge. You're tying, you escaped losing 1-0.
They deserve to lose.
They really did.
They hit the post. They had lots of opportunities. Estoril played really well, man.
Estoril played well. They get a 1-1 draw. Is this Are we sounding the alarm bells?
I think it's a little bit premature. I think they're going through it. They lost a lot of guys, much like Sporting. I know they won the league. They lost last year, even though they lost Luis Diaz, but now they lost Vitinha. They lost Fabio Vieira. They lost the penalty merchant, Conceição. That guy would be their super sub. He'd come in and he'd be hitting the freaking penalty area hard, man. Coming in like from the 85th minute on. They won a lot of games like that. So they lost some big additions to their team. So you're starting to see it.
So Conceição was quiet before the game. He didn't do a press conference. He was quiet after the game. He said he didn't want to do a press conference in protest of the journalists' questioning of Mehdi Taremi. For those of you who didn't see, Mehdi Taremi left the zone of the entrevistas there after the game because the journalist questioned him on the gossip around. I love these Portuguese reporters' English. The gossip around him being somebody who looks for penalties in dives. And
how is that gossip? It's factual. Jesus, man.
Taremi did not like the line of questioning, saying, "My foot was underneath Witzel." Of course, this was all referring to.
Well, you got to say it really high pitched. My foot was it? You guys hear his voice? Something got kicked in the nuts before he did the
This
interview.
is still referring to the red card that he got against Athletic for simulation, and he's arguing that his foot was underneath Witzel's.
Oh, here we go.
How was he supposed to move? He can't run with one leg, and he ended up leaving.
Here we go.
The zona de entrevistas. And,
he's got to understand this isn't Portugal. Obviously, there's no bullshit. Okay.
Sérgio Conceição then didn't refuse to go to the conferência de imprensa. Porto came out with a statement this morning, basically pointing the finger at journalists, fans, and referees, all three of them being reasons for Porto's lackluster performance these last little bit.
I agree. So near to them, we're just kidding, man. You should see him in the back. He's pissed right now. Just pissed. We love you, buddy. Don't worry. It's okay.
So I guess the big question here is, number one, what's going on? Number two, is Sérgio Conceição going to stick around?
Yeah.
Not only for – and I think the reason I'm asking this question is outside of obviously the bad results in the last week here. There's also a lot of shit going on behind the scenes. We talked about what happened with his family getting – his car getting attacked. There was a lot of bullshit at the beginning of the year that we talked about with Chico Conceição going to Ajax and the clock of Port coming out and making some statements against Conceição. He was really pissed at that. So is Conceição kind of getting to his last straw here, like saying, you know what, I'm done with the bullshit? I don't know.
I don't think so, man.
No?
I think it's – I mean, you can. Anything can happen, but I think he's so well respected. He's done so much for the club. Now that they're having a little hiccup, and it is a hiccup, I don't think it's you make a rash decision and get rid of him.
Mm-hmm.
I think he still is the right guy. You know what? One thing I gotta say about Conceição, he squeezes every ounce out of every single player. So if you get it, I don't think other coaches can make Porto as competitive as they were the last years if it wasn't for him, because whatever he does, whatever antics he does, whatever we agree with it or not, it works. Yeah, he squeezes every ounce out of every player. I'll give you a perfect example, like Sergio Oliveira.
Mm-hmm.
Where is he now? Yeah. But when he was at Porto, you've seen a player there. He made the national team. That's just a perfect example of what kind of coach he is. He can get the most out of a team. I think this is a hiccup. I think they will rebound, much like Sporting did.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, in my personal opinion, I don't think you sound the alarms yet.
Do we know why Pep didn't start?
I'm not sure.
I mean, he was called up to the SELEÇÃO, so you'd think if it was an injury, there would have been something announced at the SELEÇÃO, but he didn't start, and that was a bit of a loss. Like Fábio Cardoso is no Pep, man. It's a big difference when he doesn't start.
Even Carmo, you could argue that Fábio Cardoso over Carmo right now. I'm not saying potential. Carmo's an amazing player. He's a $20 million player, but the reason why I name dropped him there is because he's the one that gave away a really bad pass that led to Estoril's first goal. So
he has not. And I'm a Carmo fan, but Carmo has not lived up to the hype. I'll just say it straight up.
Yeah.
He's not lived up to the hype since he's come to Porto.
Yeah, definitely not. Sometimes the jersey weighs on certain players, man. Because he looked really good at Braga. I remember Braga was the only team to beat Porto last year. and he had a performance and a half. And I think he played so well that game. That's why Porto bought him. But
Yeah.
definitely agree with you. Hasn't lived up to the hype yet. But you know what? It's still early.
So we will keep an eye on the situation at Port. It will be interesting to see if anything comes out. But Sérgio Conceição did start his other son, interestingly enough, Rodrigo, at right back.
He looks good, though.
Who looked pretty good.
Yeah, I think he's better than his brother. He looked really good, man.
Pretty good, man.
He's taller. He's more beefier.
Yeah.
He has a lot of skill.
Yeah, man.
So, yeah.
Interesting to see.
How many kids does this guy have? How many more kids does he have? It's like a pyramid scheme going on there, man. Throwing their kids in there.
No doubts. All right. And then the other game, Christian. Sorry, I got to bring this up.
Oh, my stomach again all of a sudden.
Estás de caganeira?
Holy shit.
Estás de caganeira or what? Boa Vista por Sporting. Sporting traveled to the Bessa. And unfortunately, it was Bruno Lourenço who put Boa Vista up with a beautiful volley. Those got the highlights here. Look at that.
A nice goal.
Bang.
No chance. I mean, this game, again, like people like to look at, we lost, whatever, Sporting's increased. But you know what? I got to say, they played really well this game. The only thing that they missed was in the final third. I mean, this might sound really obvious, but if you really watch the game, you'll understand what I'm saying. Like that last pass, instead of going to Pogu, would go out of bounds. Or the guy making a nice run, instead of putting it through, it would hit a leg. Or we did everything well. We held Boa Vista in their end for so long. We played so good, it just couldn't finish. Yeah. And I brought this up before. Like I don't remember if it was off air or on air, but Sporting plays really good when the teams attack them. They're more of a counter-attacking team, almost like a Tottenham, where they're really fast to break. They have a lot of creativity. That's why a team like Tottenham, we were shining. We're still the exact same team. We still put on a great performance, but when those teams go behind, play with 11 at the back, and we have such short players at the front, and we're forced to, throw in crosses and break them down where there's not too much espaço entre linhas, so space in behind, like little through balls, where you're forced to do like crosses and find different ways to score. That's where Sporting's weakness is. And that's where, if you really understand the game, you'll understand what I'm talking about. You need different ideas. So teams like Benfica, they have so much depth. If one way isn't working, they can get a different player with a different characteristic that they can score. Sporting, they have great players. They have a great team. But that one aspect, we don't have that powerful goal scorer off the bench. We have Paulinho that proved it last game, but he's not a prolific goal scorer. He's a player like a Firmino where you play off him. Yes, he can score big goals, but we don't have that main guy off the bench to, kill the game, especially since Kuach went down here. I think that's where we really lost the game because, we make jokes about it all the time. He is our striker, right? So yeah, he went down injured. Another center back came in, and then, Boa Vista with the super stub, Ricardo Gaio came in. That's their biggest super stub. Came in and gave away the stupidest penalty. This guy, we said, I'm not trying to take cheap shots here, but he doesn't have the quality on Sporting. He's done this time and time again. But to be fair to Ruben Amorim in this aspect, he didn't really have any more options.
Can we just talk about this cross from Nuno Santos for a sec?
Again, another player that
just look at this cross.
Quaresma-esque.
Nuno Santos, Rabona.
Perfect cross.
Oh, my God. To the head of Marcus Edwards again.
Yeah. But that's the player we talked about. People shut it down right away. But I watched this guy in game out. He's been taking off this season. Big goals, big performances as a left back. And then Mario Rui got called in front of him. Another player that, they shit on Sporting again. And they called a guy that doesn't even play for Napoli.
To be fair, though, Nuno Santos is not a left back. He's a winger. He's playing in the left wing back position.
A Nuno Mendes, though. He's more of an attacking wing back.
But he's traditionally a winger. He's not a left back. Mario Rui is steady Eddie, man. That guy starts every game for Napoli at left back, and Napoli's having a very good year right now. Yeah. So to be fair for Mario Rui, he starts just about every game. He started just about every game for Napoli this season, and Napoli's having a very, very good season. So to be fair, but is this crise no Sporting, Christian?
No,
man, you guys are 8th place in the league.
I mean, but we played big teams. Yes, it's bad result. We lost to Chaves. That was the biggest kick in the nuts. This game, again, it's much like what I talked about. I keep referring to this game because it was such a big game with Sporting Porto. It looks so bad. We lost 3-0. But if you look, we played good. This game, we played very well, like very, very well. It's hard to leave this game and be like, man, whatever. We played so well, so much. We played such beautiful soccer. If you appreciate the game, you would understand like the skill, the dribbles, the cross play that was going on. It was, I'm just telling you, it was just one of those games where, like, even Boavista, every time they went up for like an actual scoring chance, it was 3. One hit the post, one was that amazing goal, and the other one was the penalty shot. So they scored on every single one of their opportunities, which is good for them. That's what you want.
A coaching masterclass from Armand.
Yeah, it was good. No hate. I'm good for Boavista. But I'm saying in this particular game, we played so well. We hit the post. We missed open nets. I mean, I don't think it's crazy the sport. I think if we were playing bad and we deserved to lose, like which happened before, where we deserved to lose, then I'd be like, man, hit the panic button. But I mean, we did a lot of things right. We just got to get, those little small, minute details right. Those little mistakes, those last passes to score when you need to score. Like, I'll give you an example. Last year we had Sarabia. That guy was class. He would not miss. Selecao, he has spurts of, you see a player there, so much skill, but he's not that killer. He's one of those players, unfortunately, that, he'll burn a few chances. And that happened last game. And this is the end result. But no, I don't think it's Crisno Sporting. I do think, anything can happen. I do think the title race is over because, Benfica's already winning. They're going to be 11 points up on Sporting. Yeah. I think we got to set in and concentrate on making Europe, because a team like where Sporting is, we need that money. We need to grow. We're in a good spot. Obviously not at the table. 3 wins, 3 losses at a draw. Doesn't look good. But those who know the team and follow them, they can see that they're a growing team. They're doing a lot of things right. They're growing their academy. We're in a good step. And if we don't make Europe, it's going to be a huge, huge step back. So I think now we got to put our feet in the ground, take it jogo, and, try to go for Europe.
It will be interesting to see, man, especially now with you guys. We talked about the injuries. Coates injured, St. Just still injured, Mujnet injured. That's 3-year center backs out.
One blessing, though, is the international break. So we'll have some time, hopefully, to heal these players up.
Yeah.
So we'll see.
Interesting to see what will happen with os Lagartos as we go. All right. Games today, guys. We talked about Benfica 1-0. Guy I talked about earlier, Rafa Silva getting the goal for Benfica, continuing his hot run of form. I'll be looking forward to rewatching the game when I get home. And the other game today is Famalicão versus Casa Pia. And then the last game today will be Braga versus Vizela. So we'll see if Braga can continue their hot run of form and gain some light again between them and Porto, who sits in 3rd place. So that rounds up the Liga, guys. Looking ahead to when we get back from the international break, we've got some big games. Sporting will be taking on Gil Vicente. Benfica will be traveling to Guimarães, but the big game is going to be FC Porto Braga, which could
say a lot in the league.
It's going to be a massive game.
And unfortunately for Braga, I don't really like their president, but in a way, there's a part of me that's sort of happy that they're doing good. It adds a different element to our league. But unfortunately for Braga, I think they're playing Porto at the worst possible time. The worst possible time. Porto is coming off. Do you remember the last time Porto lost 2 in a row? I do not remember. So Porto's going to come. They always will. Yeah. They always will. But this particular game, it's do or die for Porto, man. So it's going to be a very, very interesting game, and I'm very excited for that game.
I am too. That is going to be definitely the game of the week for the 30th. And
predictions?
Put it this way. I think if Braga beats Porto, Sérgio Conceição's gone.
Really? I don't think so.
I think if Braga beat Porto, Sérgio Conceição is gone. That's my prediction. Yeah. I don't know who's going to win, honestly, but Porto is playing at home. And I can tell you this, if Braga beats Porto at home, that's going to be basically the nail in the coffin, I think, for Sérgio Conceição. I don't think he'll get fired. I think Sérgio Conceição will quit.
You think so? I don't think yet. Maybe you're right.
That's my prediction. I could be wrong.
I honestly
but that's my
think,
prediction.
I mean, following the Portuguese league for a very long time, and this could be a very, very bold analysis. I think it's going to be a beatdown from Porto. I think Porto is going to win 2 or 3-0.
You think so?
I think so.
Yeah, I think you could. You're very right. I kind of feel like this international break, Conceição is going to take some time to get his players regroup, take some time to heal from all this bullshit that's happened, and you're either going to see the kind of complete revamp of Port, and they're back in it, and they're gonna, just resurrection of Port for the season, or it's gonna be their downfall, and they're gonna lose to Braga at home, and I think Conceição's gone, and Port's just gonna go to shit for the rest of the year.
And man, and weirdly, I'm sure you're in a weird spot because historically you'd always want Braga to be Porto for the tabella. But in this, I mean, it's weird to say it. I think a Porto win is better for Benfica.
Well, it depends what happens today, because right now they're tied on 16 points.
Yeah.
But Braga still has to play Vizela. So
Yeah.
it kind of depends what happens in the game against. If Braga beats Vizela today, which they should.
But Vizela
is good. We've
Yeah.
talked lots about Álvaro Pacheco and Vizela. They're a good team. They're a well-coached team. So they could cause Braga some problems. But if Braga do get the win, they'll be 3 points up on Port. So yes, I prefer a draw or a Port win if that happens. But we've talked about it, man. Braga is no joke this
They're
year.
really
They
good
are
this
the
year.
real deal.
I think that Simon Banza was one of the best transfers. I mean, for Braga, you could argue probably top 5 in their history as a club, top 5 transfers in terms of what they got him for and being an impact player.
Mm-hmm.
That guy's the real deal, man. I would love to have that guy on Sporting.
Man, and I think too, his Antonio Salvador's ability to hold on to Ricardo Horta.
I don't know if that was on him or more of the stupid deal, but
I think it was on him, man. I think he absolutely wanted to make it as difficult as humanly possible for Ricardo Horta to leave Braga this year. I think that's what it was. I think he saw how important Ricardo Horta is to that team and to their success, and I think he tried to make it as as hard as it humanly possible for him to leave.
I don't like that guy, but
he's a good
if he was my president,
if he was my president, I would be very happy.
Yeah.
I would be very happy.
Yeah.
He runs that club very, very well. And,
and he's done a lot, man.
He's done a lot.
It's one thing to take over a big 3.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not easy. There's a lot of that come to it, but it's another thing growing a team up from where he did to making them an honest contender.
And especially, and you have to look at Braga is one of those teams that every year they get poached in terms of their talent. They were doing really, really well with Ruben Amorim. Lá vai o Sporting, and they grabbed Amorim. Then Amorim left. Paulinho at the time was doing well. Lá foi o Paulinho. Isgaio. Like they right away they're one of those clubs where as soon as they start to do well, the big 3 will come and poach those little key pieces of talent, and that's what makes it hard. And the fact that they've continually bounced back even after losing such important pieces just goes to show.
But man, to be fair to Braga though, they did, but they made good deals in the process. That Carmo deal is looking amazing right now, 20 million. The Paulinho deal is in the upwards of 20 million. Even when we poached Ruben Amorim, he was like the 3rd most expensive manager ever. So they are getting bang for their buck. But yeah, you are right. I know what you're saying there is that they're losing all their best players and they found a way to bounce back. But at the same time, they're making great deals. So
yeah. And Artur Jorge, man, he's going to be one of the next big up and coming
Portuguese
coaches because, man, look at what he's done. He hasn't lost. He has yet to lose. 12 games unbeaten. We'll see what he does against Vizela.
100%.
All right, guys, we're coming up against the time here, and I want to go watch my Benfica. So thanks for joining us. It was a good one. There's lots to talk about. Yeah. Next week, we'll have obviously some updates from the Portugal, Czech Republic.
Before I let you go to watch your whatever team, who are they again? Oh, yeah, Benfica.
First place, buddy. First place.
All jokes aside, what's your prediction for Portugal, Czech Republic?
I think we'll win 2-0. That's my
2-0?
prediction. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's the same thing. I think people are overlooking Czech Republic. I've seen a couple of their games. I mean, they're no crazy team, but they're better than what most people think they are. So I think it'll be a closer game. I think it'll be 2-0 too.
Yeah.
That's my same prediction.
Yeah.
But yeah, everybody, thanks for tuning in.
Thanks, guys.
I appreciate the comments. And don't forget to like and subscribe, all right?
All right, guys. Take care. Forza.
Yeah.